Hey guys, I really enjoyed watching your module videos so far as you're working through the workbook. They've been really interesting and also helpful for me. I'm glad to hear that your internships are going so well, especially you, Trey, with being done with it. So now hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm in the same boat as Garrett. I just reached about the halfway mark on mine, so that's going well. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys about SBI, which is something we've learned about a few times, giving effective feedback. So effective feedback is the most important skill for a good leader to have. Unfortunately, it's also one of the most difficult skills for a leader to have. In our workbook, it says that a lot of leaders say they would rather receive feedback than give feedback. So a lot of people are uncomfortable with, I guess they think it's judging other people. That's kind of how I feel. So I guess sometimes people are uncomfortable with judging other people, but you shouldn't feel that way. And it's something that as a leader you just have to get over, which we can all do with our Golden Leaf Scholar advice. So, SBI, the Situation Behavior Impact we've learned about before, is a primary tool in leadership. It helps other people grow by giving them positive and negative feedback on how they're doing. And we should always remember that feedback is a gift. We should never be insulted or feel attacked by feedback because it helps us grow. And just because you receive negative feedback, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily doing a terrible job. It's just that these are the areas that you need to improve on. And also, if someone is giving you negative feedback, they probably feel like you can improve on these areas, or else they probably wouldn't even bother. So CCL has this thing that they call 80-20 when they're dealing with negative or effective feedback. So 80% of feedback that you give should be positive and 20% should be negative. So we want to do more positive feedback than we do negative feedback. No one ever feels good after they receive a ton of negative feedback. It just brings people down. So at least try to give them some good positive, but probably at least 80%. So when we get down into SBI and breaking it down like we've done before, we start with the S, which is the situation. So you should always specifically describe the situation that you're in. So when, where, those types of things, so that the person that you're giving the feedback to can understand the exact situation that you were in this circumstance. So the B in SBI is behavior. So you need to describe the behavior also in detail. And remember, it's not a personal attack. The last part of SBI is impact, and that's what you were experiencing and how you felt during the situation that you're trying to give feedback about. So always remember to describe how you felt. And in our workbook, we have a pretty good example that I'm going to read about SBI. So the example is, Pat, during our session yesterday afternoon, that's the situation, during our session, I noticed that you interrupted me on several occasions. That's the behavior. The person was interrupting them. I felt frustrated at times. This is the impact that it had on me. As I wasn't able to complete my thoughts. Instead of saying, Pat, you were really rude yesterday. So with this example, they broke down the situation, the behavior, and the impact. Now, there's also in our workbook a couple of examples about when giving feedback and when receiving feedback. So when you're giving feedback, you need to be as specific as possible, focus on what's changeable, so what you can improve, speak for yourself, speak directly to the person, look them in the eye, provide balanced feedback, be honest and kind, avoid shoulds and musts, practice SBI, obviously. When you're receiving feedback, you should listen and look at the person in the face, the same as when you're giving feedback. You should always treat feedback as a gift, like we said earlier. It's okay to ask questions for clarification. Understanding does not equal agreement, so you don't always have to agree on something. Don't defend or justify yourself. Always say thank you, which you should always do anyway. And give your time to reflect on the feedback that you're getting instead of jumping up and, like it said earlier, defending yourself. Actually think about the feedback that you've gotten. So our workbook gives us possible impact words and negative impact words, which it gives us a great list of tons of words that you can read through, but I'm not going to read all of them, but just a couple examples of positive impact words are affectionate, confident, generous, and negative impact words are things like abandoned, nervous, exhausted. Those would be examples of negative impact words. So that is SBI on how to give effective feedback. I hope it's been helpful. I know we've been over it before a couple times in our conferences, but I hope it's still been helpful, and I hope that you guys are still enjoying your internships and your summer. Bye.